for my team. If you trickin', we gon' make a scene. I be getting green, ball man be my jeans. Gotta get it, bitches on my jeans. Pockets full of green.
Hello everybody, I'm Don Collins. Welcome to another episode of Anion Sports. Today, I have a very special guest. But you know, I like to pass the baton to everybody, so I'm gonna let her introduce herself.
I'm Angeline Seames. I'm a junior at Bowling Green State University, and I'm also a sport management major.
I am also a sport management major for those that don't know, so class has afforded us the opportunity to get to know each other. This young lady is absolutely phenomenal. Like when I say things that she's done, I will never accomplish. Like I'll never accomplish them. Today, we're gonna talk about the women's sports. Hold on. I'm messing that up. You say it before I mess it up.
It's called the Women's Leadership in Sports Forum. That's what it's called correctly.
I've been corrected before. I'll be corrected in the future. Tell me, who created this? Who started this?
So I created the event here at Bowling Green, and I actually got the inspiration from a BGSU alum, and I went and watched her event that was called the Women in Sports Forum. So it all started from a BGSU alum, and then I was like, I should probably do this. So then I brought it to BG and created the whole event.
Right. So I had the wonderful opportunity to go last year, and since you probably don't know this story, I went because it was extra credit. So like sport management here at BG, what they do is they tend to give extra credit to go to these events. And I was just like, okay, you know, honestly, what else was I doing on a Saturday? It's extra credit. So I went, and it was honestly one of the most powerful things that I've ever attended. Like the opportunity to see so many powerful people in positions of leadership, and so many of them being, you know, women, was just an absolute game changer for me. And then talking to Carla Live, she's the director of player
engagement for the NFL.
Player engagement for the NFL. I got to talk to her, and that just is a wow factor. Like what? But this year, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
So this year we have 13 different speakers. We just have one less than last year. But our keynote speaker, her name is Becky Newell. She is actually a BGSU alum as well. And she also is the director of tournament business affairs for the Ladies Professional Golf Association.
Okay. And that's this Saturday?
Yep, it's this Saturday.
This Saturday. Where? Where is it?
At the Bowen Thompson Student Union.
Here at BG, for those that are visiting the Bowling Green area. Look, like I said, it's honestly awesome, everything that you do, because you do a lot. Like, you work how many jobs?
So I work 2 different jobs. I work as a desk clerk at Kreischer Ashley Batch.
Shout out Kreischer, desk clerk life.
I also work in the BGSU ticket office. I work as a student manager who oversees all of our volunteers or other students who work in our office. I'm also the diversity and inclusion intern that represents BGSU through the Mid-American Conference. And I also am a volunteer for the Falcon Club, which is the fundraising and development office.
Many hats. Someone who wears many hats is people that I like to have in my life. Definitely. You know, obviously the Women's Forum is something that I feel like every campus should have. Have you noticed anybody reaching out to you saying like, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? Like, how did you do it?
So what I've had really is also just people asking if they can come from different schools to come and watch it.
Yeah.
So the University of Tiffin, I know their main sport management professor, and she hosts something along this lines. But she was like, oh, I definitely want to come to this to see if we need to change anything.
We got to talk about your sporting event that you attended. What was that like?
So it was amazing, actually. So for you people who do not know, part of the group I'm part of, the Sport Management Alliance, we brought 32 members of our organization to work the Super Bowl. Beginning of the week up until Saturday, we worked the NFL fan experience. And then on Sunday, we worked in the stadium at US Bank. And then by 5 o'clock on Central Time, we were done. So I got to watch the whole football game, halftime show, anything that was in the stadium happening, I saw, which was pretty amazing.
And look, here in our house, it was relatively calm because my roommate is an Eagles fan. again, season 2, episode 1, pay attention, he goes absolutely crazy. But just from our perspective, it was insane just watching it from home. So being there is something like tickets were like $50,000 start point. So that is something that is a like I can't.
Speechless,
right,
speechless.
and that's rare. I rarely have nothing to say, but seriously, that I don't.
I will say two of my favorite moments was definitely the Philly special. Watching that happen was awesome. I was standing next to a girl who was with me, and I was like, "That's awesome." I looked at her, I was like, "The Phillies are probably going to win now because of that play,"
Yeah,
and it ended up happening. And then the last one had to be right as the clock was winding down, and the Patriots had possession. And they were watching. Everyone is very quiet. It was very quiet in that stadium at very pivotal moments.
Because Tom Brady was about to do it again until, obviously he did.
Yeah, and as soon as the clock ran down, it got very quiet. Very quiet. And I will say there were over a majority of Philly fans there than Patriots fans. So as soon as it happened, I feel all of the Eagles fans were in awe. Like, did this really happen? We just won a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
And then this roar of people just happened. It was loud. It was very loud, as loud as it was in the beginning, actually, when they were introducing the teams and Tom Brady, they showed the Eagles first, screaming, cheering. Then they showed the Patriots. And I've never heard a more welcoming boo in a stadium that big when the sounds just bounce off.
Yeah.
It was so loud. If you were outside that stadium, you could probably hear it.
It's a new stadium too, right? Is it a dome? They did a dome.
It's not a dome.
It's not?
It is inside, but it's a glass. It's all glass. It's a glass ceiling.
So, how much did that cost? Oh, I don't even know.
It was over millions and millions of dollars.
Because when I visited Minnesota right before college, and they were building it. And so it was like already like this big hole in the ground. So I saw how massive it was that way. I'll probably never get to see it in person because why else?
It is a great stadium. I love the atmosphere of that stadium. Even though it's inside, it definitely gives that Minnesota cold.
Yeah.
Where it was negative 25 the first day I was there. So,
What? How did you dress for that? Like, because you left here and it was like a degree. And then it got 26 degrees colder than that.
So, honestly, the only way, there was only a minimal amount of walking, but there was a lot of overpacking of coats, jackets, lots of pants, lots of shirts. But I packed as if I was going to be outside the whole time. We were very fortunate where we never, ever stepped outside to work, which we were very fortunate about.
Yeah. Okay. Now, one thing that I did have planned for this episode, but it always helps to have a friend help me out with it. Spring training it just started on Tuesday. And I just found out you're an Indians fan.
I am.
So I'm sitting here decked out in my Cubs gear ready to talk about Yu Darvish and how Chris Bryant's going to win MVP. We're going to go win another World Series. But for a moment in time, I want to talk about what was it like for an Indians fan during that World Series?
So I actually was downtown for Game 6 of the World Series. I wasn't there. I wasn't inside the stadium, but I was about 10 feet away, so that was pretty awesome. Being an Indians fan, they're a lot more fun to watch. From a 10-year time span, 10 years ago, if you told me, oh yeah, the Indians in 9 years from now are going to almost win the World Series, I've been like, you're joking.
Right. That's what I think, not to cut you off, but that's what I think is about, it's amazing because that's exactly how I felt. It was 2007, 2008, we had just got swept again by the Dodgers, Alfonso Soriano and the crew, and I'm thinking, man, this is just not going to happen. But then I'm sitting there, it doesn't click then. It was the older I got, it was wow, we really have sucked. We really have been bad. And it's just crazy the trajectories, they kind of rose up at the same time. And it's unfortunate, but only one team can win.
Yeah, no. There's always going to be a loser and a winner. I can definitely say that.
But their seasons, neither one of those, I'm not going to define them as losers. Obviously I have to because there's a World Series trophy. But I was very impressed because when we got there, like, okay, all my tears happened when we got to the World Series, just because the magnitude of that was almost bigger than winning the damn thing. It was like, okay, we just made it there. But then I was like, okay, we're gonna cakewalk through this 5 games, 5, and then we're down 3-1, and I'm like, okay.
And then we blew a 3-1 lead, but it's not as bad as the Warriors, though.
Oh, you gotta throw that in.
I'm right, though. I'm right. And you can ask any other fan in history except for a Warriors fan. Honestly, you can ask any other fan, and they will say it's right.
Look.
I have to. It's like legitimately in my vein that whenever everyone talks about the Indians and a 3-1 lead, I always have to say, well, you also have to remember that the Warriors did it first in the NBA history, so.
The World Series was amazing. The parade was awesome. I can only, my sincerest hopes that y'all can experience that.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping it'll happen maybe in the next 5 years. I definitely think the Indians still have potential. It's not like we have a crap team. We were still in the playoffs last year, even though it came to a subtle halt very early, but
we will not discuss that or the additions of the team that beat you guys, because let's just say they're a little more scary. But like I said, first off, again, thank you for just coming on the show.
Not a problem.
I know it's a busy schedule you got to work around, so I appreciate that. Second off, I always enjoy talking sports, and honestly, it's only been 2 episodes, but this has been the more enjoyable of the 2 because it allows me to not just sit here and, hello, I'm Don Collins, and here's a list of stats and statistics that you need to know about that. People are awesome, and as a person, you're also awesome.
Well, you are awesome too, Don, for doing this. So
I appreciate it.
Not a lot of people I know that do this on a regular basis, so I commend you for that.
I appreciate it. But if you're listening, head on over to the Women's Sports Forum this Saturday. Do not miss it. I will be there. Mr. Anion Sports will be there. Angeline.
I will be there as well.
She better be there. She put this whole thing together.
Hopefully I'll be there.
And there's a whole host of other characters that'll be there. You know, we got some of the most powerful women in sport at the time. We got Dr. Spencer will be there.
Dr. Spencer will be there. We have a lot of our faculty and staff that will be there supporting us as well.
And it'll be 9 in the morning. We'll be there at 8:30. Book it. This is season 2, episode 2 of Anion Sports. I'm Don Collins.
I'm Angeline.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great one. The only place to go is up.